Hello, everyone. How are you today? Welcome back to BioNexus Health channel, Autism Uprooted. And I'm Dr. Jodie A. Dashore, as you all know. Today, we have a wonderful episode lined up for you. I think I'm getting a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera, right? A little less awkwardness as the podcasts proceed. And I'm gaining a little bit more experience as well. Anyways, I'm so glad you could join me today. We are going to speak today. Actually, we're going to travel to Serbia and Croatia, and we are going to speak to an absolutely amazing mother, Alexandra. She is going to be translating into the local language in order to benefit the families dealing with autism in that particular region. So it's going to be very helpful and very educational, inspirational, and knowledgeable for families in Serbia, Croatia, and Eastern Europe. So please allow me to welcome Alexandra to the podcast today. She will be sharing the recovery of her son diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder.
Evo ovako u kratkim crtama, moje dete je pre nego što smo krenuli protokol sa doktorkom Dashore bilo u dosta, da kažem, lošem stanju. Imao je onako dosta neke agresivne ispade, lupao je glavom, nekad u zid, nekad u mene. Zatim imao je nedostatak fokusa, nije mogao da prati neke jednostavne instrukcije, bilo je dosta teško sa njim, nije imao razumevanje, vrlo malo nekog razumevanja i činilo mi se onako više neko situaciono razumevanje, neko stvarno razumevanje. I dosta problema sa stomakom, sa spavanjem i tako dalje. I onda kada smo krenuli protokol, onda stvarno smo videli posle nekih možda 2 meseca napredak u tome da je mirniji, da bolje spava, da je fokusiraniji, napadi agresije su se smirili, da kažem, u potpunosti. Još ponekad kad je onako umoran bude malo agresivan, ali ne onako u onoj meri kako je to bilo ranije. Stomak mu se dosta popravio, to mi je bilo onako interesantno, bez nekih, da kažem, jakih niti lekova, niti probiotika, čak mu dajemo nešto minimalno, neke probiotike, dosta je onako fokusiran, više, mnogo me bolje razumevanje, sada stvarno mi se čini da skoro sve razume, počeo je da govori funkcionalne reči sa kontaktom sa pogledom, što ranije stvarno nije radio. Ranije bi on i rekao po neku reč, ali onako usput. Znači sada nas pogleda, nešto kaže, pa onda očekuje neki odgovor da li je dobro rekao i tako dalje. Tako da smo zaista zadovoljni sa napretkom, pogotovo imajući u vidu da se cela terapija zasniva na biljkama, znači bez nekih agresivnih tretmana i eto, nadamo se da ćemo nastaviti dalje. Ne mogu sada da kažem da je dete u potpunosti oporavljeno, još je dug put pred nama, ali nam daje nadu da ćemo videti još puno napretka i da ćemo ga u potpunosti oporaviti.
Welcome to the BioNexus Health Podcast with Dr. Jodie A. Dashore, who holds a PhD in Integrative Medicine, is board certified in Integrative Pediatrics, an internationally recognized pioneering clinician, and author. And now here's your host of BioNexus Health Podcast, Dr. Jodie A. Dashore.
Alexandra, welcome from the United States. How is Serbia today?
Serbia is good. Thank you very much. Hello. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. It's wonderful that you were able to make it today. Let's start with asking you, what made you decide to choose an herbal plant-based approach? We know it's a all natural protocol. So how did you find me, and what made you decide?
Thank you. Well, actually, I have seen your podcast once done with Ilana Gershowitz, And she is an autism mom who is very active in autism community in South Africa.
Oh, yes.
And you remember this was like a couple of months ago. And I was very impressed by this podcast because you were talking about autism as a complex condition with lots of underlying causes. And you were mentioning Lyme disease, also other infections, co-infections, Bartonella, Babesia, and so on. And this actually rang my bell because I've heard about these other infections from some other doctors in the region, but I never learned about the explanation. So when you gave this explanation, this really was something new for me. And then you were also mentioning Marcons, and this was something new. And mold, this is not something that we hear a lot here in the region. So actually this made me interested in your approach, how to treat the condition. And you were also mentioning IVIG, that immunoglobulin therapy, which was not very helpful to your child. And I was thinking about whether to do this with my child. And then I said, wow, if we can do this without these more aggressive treatments, if we can do the treatment based on herbs, well, that would be really wonderful. And that's why I decided to approach you.
Okay. That is very true. You know, Ilana, she is the director of the largest autism school in South Africa. Yeah, she's a wonderful mom. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She wrote the book, How Saving My Sons.
Yes.
And I read her book, and then we got in touch, and she's really great and very active. And I feel that this is something that we also need to be more active in our community in this region.
I couldn't agree more. You know, that is precisely why I started the Autism Uprooted BioNexus podcast. You know, I'm not, you know, I'm usually a shy person, you know, in front of the camera, in front of so many people watching, but many practitioners asked for it, as well as many parents asked for it, you know, to hear stories that inspire and give hope. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, why not? You know, let's do it for other autism moms and dads out there, to give them information, you know, education, knowledge. It's so key. And you mentioned that you mentioned about mold, mycotoxins, Marcons, which is the deep sinus infection associated when you're exposed to a water damaged building, as well as underlying infections and toxins. Absolutely. You know, most of us get the same hopeless scenario when our child gets diagnosed on the spectrum. Hey, there's no cure, you know, and then as mothers, we go to work. And I remember traveling the world and seeing some of the best holistic practitioners as well as regular practitioners. And almost all of them were not able to get to the root causes, or to be able to get my son out of the wheelchair. And, you know, I mean, being a child, you know, running around, being functional. So it forced me to dig deep. You know, like they say, some challenges in life, I'm sure you can relate, you know, come to you for a reason. Now, right now, you have all this information, which you will be helping so many other mothers in your community. So,
yeah, and thank you very much for this. And I would like to say that we already have a community of parents, one Facebook group and a couple of Facebook groups. And this has been really helpful for me, and I think for the whole community. And now I really also feel that I would like to contribute more, because I learned so much from them. And I would like to, of course, to help my child, but also, like, you know, helping others also kind of puts everything in the perspective and makes sense of everything that we are going through.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You know, during my spiritual journey through all of this, one of the best things that I learned from one of my teachers was the gifts that we have, or the gifts that we are born with. In this case, you know, the gift of knowledge and healing. that is not meant for me. It's meant for others. That's, and it is a responsibility to help others. So I'm really glad that you have an Eastern European group as well. I was speaking to an amazing Brazilian physician yesterday, and she mentioned, she would like to help children on the spectrum with her research. She is currently doing some sort of research into the osteopathic manipulations which are beneficial for children on the spectrum. So we will be collaborating in my next book, which is going to be on autism. I'm actually going to request your case study as well, which would be fantastic to have in there. So can you tell me what symptoms did your son have before you came to BioNexus? And and then first let's talk about that, and then we will speak about the next step. So if you could please.
Before we came to BioNexus Health, my son had kind of, I would say, kind of classic autism symptoms. He was having a lack of energy, I would say. Maybe for the beginning, he would always sleep in the afternoon, feeling a bit tired, and then he would go to bed very late, and then this would kind of be a problem for our daily routine. Then he had a lack of focus. It was very difficult to get him focused to anything purposeful, unless it's something that he really enjoyed, these kind of repetitive, stereotypic play movements. And also he had also aggression. He was kind of banging his head, sometimes on me, sometimes on the wall, and this was not very pleasant. Sometimes he would be also self-aggressive a bit. It also depended. It was not very bad every day, but from time to time. I remember first time when we spoke, you asked me what was my main worry, and I told you that this was aggression, and then you said that this is probably he has SPANS. And that we have to work on these underlying causes and infections.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, we went ahead and we did extensive testing for mold, mycotoxins, marcons. Additionally, we looked at all kinds of different infections and toxins overall, which could be triggers for biotoxin illness, PANS, and you mentioned PANS, so I just wanted to elaborate a little bit, right? So that also brought us the information that we needed to be able to customize the herbal protocol for your son, right? So once we customize the protocol, I mean, it's a pretty complicated protocol. It's not easy. So how did you manage with the protocol and the diet and the timetable, which you had to adhere to with the supplements? And what improvements did you see?
Yeah. Well, with the protocol at the beginning, I think we needed a bit of time to adjust to it. But the good thing of the protocol is that it goes step by step. So the first week you start with the supplements and minerals, and the second week you start with the binders, and then you go with this organ support. So in that sense, this was not too complicated. Then there is this antimicrobial section, which is a bit more complicated because you have to kind of take it step by step, and we are still taking it step by step. But I think we got used to it relatively quickly. And what I liked very much was that my son was able to take the protocol without any problems. We would put these drops in the water as you do without, and put a bit of juice, just a bit for taste, and then he would take it, and he likes to take it. He's happy when we bring this glass. He's like, oh, okay, he wants to take So it was really not hard to introduce the protocol, because my son is very picky eater, and he wouldn't take many things that we offer. So I was very pleased with that, that it was easy to introduce it. And then, as I say, it took me a bit of time sometimes to figure out what comes next. And but step by step, you get used to it. It doesn't really get so complicated. And I have to say that he was really getting better gradually. I think when we introduced this organ support, I could see that he had a better focus. He was more relaxed. There was more communication. And I was quite excited about that. He was doing well also at the speech occupational therapy. My friend who is running the center said, "Oh, he seems to be eager to learn." And, he's happy there, and I was very pleased. And then when we started this antimicrobial part, you mentioned that there will be some die-off effects. So we kind of, not every day was the best day maybe, but I knew that this was going to happen, as you told me, then to take it more easy and so on. And then when we came to a certain point in that protocol, especially after giving this hutunya, I remember that he was really doing so well on it. And then I saw also a major shift because for the first time, he was saying the words with making an eye contact, which was really something that he didn't do. He did have some words before, I have to say, some functional words, a couple of words, but this was for the first time that he would look at me and us, and he would say a word and he would be so pleased and happy. And we can even communicate now by words. If I ask him, do you want this or that, and he can tell me, he can choose and tell me what he wants. This is, well, it's not that this is kind of, he's talking full sentences or something, but still for us, this is really a major improvement only after a couple of months of treatment. So we are really pleased.
That is so amazing. I just love it. Like you said, in only a couple of months, you saw, some improvements. Especially with language, when you say that a child is eager to learn, which means that there is more body awareness, there is more awareness of your environment, there is internal motivation. So all of these factors are emerging in the child because the body is no longer struggling to deal with the toxins, with the environmental exposures, with the infections, because we are slowly beginning to support the body, giving the body what's been missing all these years, right? Because when you have so much going on within, all of your body's resources go towards kind of, survival mode. Now, when external herbs and supplements take over that function, that's when the child begins to emerge. And the best part for me was when you said that he looked at you and started to say words for the first time. So where did the words come from? It's because he was absorbing, he was learning this whole time when he went to therapy, and now he was, it was almost like the curtain lifted and he was able to talk.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel he knew this also before, but he could not recall these words. So now he just kind of got them somewhere in his head. They were there also before, but now he has access to them, if I can say something. Yes. He can learn more easily. And yeah, that's really amazing. That's really amazing that these children can get so much better.
Right. How is the aggression and the self-harming behavior? Is he still hurting himself and hurting others?
It has really reduced to maybe a minimum. Only when he is really upset, something he can get a bit aggressive, but it's much better than before. And what I've also noticed is that he doesn't bang his head any longer.
Oh, good, wow.
And I have to say also, because you gave us this spray for Marcons, that it really has a very good effect on me, because you said probably because actually I did a test. You said that probably both of us have Marcons. And my headaches are so much better. I can't remember when I had a headache. So maybe, you can, if you have some appointment.
For you?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely, my dear. Yes. I mean, mothers are the heart of any family, and my heart as well. Absolutely, yes. So that, I'd love to hear that, because see, here's the thing. Some tests, the children are not able to do, right? So research shows that with Marcons, if mom, dad, siblings, they have Marcons, then the child on the spectrum has them as well. They're easily transmitted, even from a pet. If the pet is in the child's face, or sleeping with the child in the same bed, breathing. So as long as you're breathing the same air, the child probably also has Marcons. And when you treat the mother and the child, both see improvements. And so you haven't had a headache for a while, and that is, I am so happy for you.
Yes, thank you very much. No, really, I mean, maybe it's just like my imagination, but I think it's really not, because I suffer from headaches. And then actually I remember that after we did this test, and it showed a large number of these Marcons, that I had that even in high school. I remember when I did this test. So it seems to be that I've been suffering also for a while. And I have all this chronic response syndrome. Probably.
Yes. Us mothers, we usually put our health on the back burner for the child and for the family, and then because we just keep going, right? I think we get our strength and inspiration from the universe, because we have to keep going for our child. I remember I got into a near fatal car accident. I had just dropped off Brian in kindergarten, and I was driving back, and boom, somebody was on their cell phone. I could see this minivan coming at me at 45 miles an hour, and we crashed. And for 6 months I was in really bad shape. All my symptoms came back, because that's major trauma. But I was alive in spite of all of those complications. So I knew that I had been kept alive because I had a duty and a responsibility to my son. At that time, I didn't know, I would be impacting like families in 73 countries. But it's been such a blessing to have gone through that journey and to have come out at this end, to be able to meet people, other moms like yourself, halfway across the world.
Yeah, this is really great. And I remember the first time when you were speaking on that podcast, you said like it's nice also to be able to help others. And I thought that this was really great. And this was maybe also one of the first times that I was feeling sorry not to be a physician, because I cannot treat others. But at least I feel like, okay, we can spread the awareness, we can bring people together. And you also mentioned, and maybe we can mention at this point, that you are having some seminars for physicians to spread your knowledge, which I think is really great, because as you say, you have so many patients, and still there are so many people who need treatment, and it's not so easy to come. I mean, it's really great. You have 70 something countries, but still I feel people who do not speak English, or do not have resources, it's difficult for them to approach you or some other doctors. And then if you're willing to share your knowledge and to have kind of sustainability really, and that other people can learn, that's really fantastic. I was very happy when you told me this.
Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to. I believe there should never be any kind of a cost associated with helping others who will be helping so many more. So yes, anything I can do, I will. I think once this winter season is past, and once we move into the warmer months, I think there will be more opportunity for me to be mentoring more people. Right now, I have one established mentorship group, and I'm hoping to add another one soon. In different regions of the world. Like a couple of years ago, I had one in the United States. Currently, I have one with the UK, Ireland, Scotland, EU, little bit of EU. And then next, I will be going further east and adding in, because I should be done with this mentorship. I thought I could do a couple together. It'll be too much for me. So I will be finished with one mentorship group. We are actually hoping to establish specific protocols, and then have the protocols available online so they can self-educate along with the videos. And then I'll establish another mentorship group. So yes, absolutely. If there are any practitioners who are interested, that would be great. I am happy to do another podcast with all of your group members if they have any questions, about whatever we spoke about. Yeah.
Well, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. You. Yeah. It would be, my pleasure to be able to help in any way possible. And maybe we can do a seminar. I'll think about it. If anyone is willing to organize, I would be happy to donate my time. I mean, again, education, according to me, may it be of parents or practitioners, should be at no cost to the person. So I think many will be able to afford that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That would be great. And really, this is really generous of you, because some moms ask me, like, what is the cost? And, and I said, well, I don't know. I will ask it. When I heard that you're doing this free of charge, I thought this is really generous. And, this is the right thing to do. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Yeah. It's such an honor to be able to help families all over the world. It's okay, great. So you have, your son, you said, cognitive, language, learning, aggression, self-harming behavior, your headaches, all of these have improved. Can you talk a little bit about his gut and his sleep?
Yeah, this is something that I forgot really, and I should have mentioned this before. He is, as I said, he has he has problems with his gut, and I think always had the problems with his gut since he was born. And so he would having like either diarrhea, either not being able to do these bowel movements, and he has been on some probiotics here and there and so on. But when we started the protocol, I was really pleasantly surprised that his bowel movements also improved, and that he was doing really well. And especially because we didn't give him, so much probiotics or anything very, very aggressive. And I was like, wow, okay, this is really great. I still have to say that he's still a picky eater, and this is something that we should be working on. And I'm trying to do some kind of therapies with him on my own. I think it's going slowly. I'm trying to introduce some soup and something that would be also very good for the gut. And I think we have made some progress, but still this is an area that we can still work a bit more on his gut, because it's also very much related to everything else. And his sleep has also improved. I remember last year he was waking up several times during the night, and now he wakes up maybe once and then continues to sleep. And this is really good. This is really good. So he has improved on many levels.
Good.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Of course. So yeah, if he is sleeping better, if he is digesting his food, he's growing, that is a huge relief for the entire family, right? Everybody needs rest, and it is good for his body to be able to rest and heal as well. So, Alexandra, you mentioned IVIG and, other invasive treatments. Correct. Yes. And my conclusion was, I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't tried any invasive treatments. We did IVIG 1, FMT 1, and I wish I hadn't. I don't think it was worth the travel, the effort, the trauma, the side effects that my 6.5, 7-year-old experienced, through all of this. It's doing a endoscopy, colonoscopy, having a camera inside you, trying to keep him calm through that. Oh my goodness, putting him under anesthesia, all invasive treatments I wish I had never done. But it was a 7.5-year learning journey for me. And then finally I came up with the BioNexus protocol, as you know now. And using camel milk therapeutically can provide excellent antibodies, but at the right time, right? Because with PANS, there's already an overactive immune system, because it's an autoimmune response. There's already too many antibodies. You don't want to add more. So there is a time and a place. So that's what happens. I've never really been a big fan of any invasive techniques. No needles, no nothing required. We have children who are already suffering inside without having to make them go through anything invasive. And I actually find that by the time patients, and you will find this as well, once we go through all of the tools in my belt, once we go through different steps of the protocol, like mold, needs 12 steps, Lyme and co-infections need 4 steps. And along with those, we are doing organ support, reducing inflammation in the brain and the body. So when you do all of this together and have patients, right, at the end, we find that no invasive treatment is needed.
Wow, that's really great news. That's great news, because so many, parents, moms and dads that I know, they're also, thinking, as myself, what is the next step? Should I take my child to FMT? Should I take my child to IVIG? And, you can hear some good experience, but then also, not so good. And you worry, whether this treatment will not only be helpful, but maybe it can be detrimental. And then, you need time to heal from that treatment. And then sometimes, others tell you you're not brave enough, and then you question your decisions and everything. And that's why I very much liked when you were talking about the herbal approach. And I was thinking, if we can spread this knowledge, and if we can all go and help our children and recover them without these invasive treatments, wow, that would really be awesome. And your story, I think maybe you should do a podcast about your own story. I think maybe you've done it already, but I think that would be...
No, I haven't really. No, not yet.
I think you should, because I was watching a podcast with your son, and I can see how well he's doing. So this also kind of gives other parents hope that their kids can be recovered fully, and they're doing so well. And I think we need more of these success stories in the world in general, and also in our region, because sometimes when people say, someone recovered, people get a bit skeptical, because, when we have lots of these co-infections, I think it's very hard actually to deal with this. It's not an easy journey. And maybe if the case is not too hard, then the healing is possible earlier, only with gluten-free, casein-free diet. It's for some people it's sufficient. So more, of these good stories, which were difficult at first, I think would be beneficial, and it gives more hope to people. And what we are doing in this podcast is exactly this, and I think this is great. This is a great idea, and thank you for doing this.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, I should one day. I might. I've shared excerpts of my story here and there, often I speak about my journey quite often, but yes, the whole story, no, the other day I was tidying up, cleaning up a little bit, and I have this stacks and stacks of labs, which I'm still saving, even though he is doing really well. It's just that, I don't know, I have to say a prayer and get rid of them now because everything is fine. But yeah, I was looking at the insane amount of labs that we had to do over the years, trying to figure out what was going on with my son exactly, because with the leg being paralyzed, being in a wheelchair, excruciating pain, not being able to move, not being able to speak to tell me except, yelling and yeah, so. And here we are today. He's doing well. He's in medical school. He's in the second year. So I always say, don't give me any blessings. If you want to pass any blessings on, please bless Brian for his continued success. So yeah,
I think it's a joint success and a great example, really, and it gives so much feeling of hope to others.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to have you here, and you are so articulate. I love the way you explained every aspect of what you had to go through in order to see improvement in your child. Once again, thank you very much for being here today. It's been such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much for having me and for agreeing to do this podcast, especially for the parents from my group. And I hope that they will be also pleased. And I look forward to our further cooperation through seminars also and other ways of cooperation, so that we can also raise the awareness and help others. And of course, we are going to cooperate individually and also with myself, not only my son.
You got it. Yeah, absolutely, you got it. Bye for now.
Great. Bye.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this episode. And I am really happy that we were able to accomplish this today. Very grateful to Alexandra. So I shall bring this episode to a close right now. Thank you for joining me today. And I hope to see you on the next episode. Namaste.
Thank you for joining Master Herbalist Dr. Jodie A. Dashore, Director of the BioNexus Health Clinic and BioNexus Herbals, on the BioNexus Health Podcast. You can subscribe for free on most podcast apps. By subscribing, you encourage the algorithms to spread our messages of hope and healing. You may also leave a review on your preferred podcast app or share on your social networks to promote the podcast, where we explore and share information and stories about recovering and healing from chronic and environmental illnesses such as mold biotoxin illness, Lyme disease, autism spectrum disorder, fatigue, Crohn's and colitis, mast cell activation syndrome, PANS, and more. For more information, visit bionexushealth.com.
Information within this video, audio, or text, collectively known as the podcast, has not been reviewed by the FDA. Nothing within the podcast is intended as or should be construed as medical advice. Information is for general informational and educational purposes only. Consumers of the podcast should consult with their healthcare practitioners for medical recommendations. Seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider. Do not disregard the advice of a healthcare provider based on any information from the podcast. The information within the podcast may contain information concerning dietary supplements or over-the-counter products that are not drugs. Our dietary supplement products are not intended for use as a means to cure, treat, prevent, diagnose, or mitigate any disease or other medical or abnormal condition.